N-400 Interview Practice Part 1 Personal Information Questions, 2025 updated.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Officer Ann. I will be conducting your naturalization interview today. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. I'll begin with the civics portion of your interview. I'll ask you up to 50 questions. You'll need to answer at least 30 correctly to pass. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Question 1. Who lived in America before the Europeans arrived?
The Native Americans.
Correct. Question 2. What are two cabinet-level positions?
The Vice President and the Attorney General.
Yes. Question 3. What does the judicial branch do?
Reviews laws.
Good. Question 4. What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful?
Checks and balances.
Correct. Question 5. What are the two parts of the U.S. Congress?
The Senate and the House of Representatives.
Yes. Question 6. What is one power of the states?
To give a driver's license.
Right. Question 7. How many U.S. senators are there?
100.
Correct. Question 8. Who is the governor of your state?
This answer depends on your state.
Okay. Question 9. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence?
Thomas Jefferson.
Correct. Question 10. What is the name of the President of the United States now?
Donald Trump.
Yes. Question 11. Name two national U.S. holidays.
New Year's Day and Christmas.
Correct. Question 12. What is the economic system in the United States?
Market economy.
Yes. Question 13. How many justices are on the Supreme Court?
9.
Correct. Question 14. When is the last day you can send in federal income tax forms?
April 15th.
Yes. Question 15. Who vetoes bills?
The President.
Correct. Question 16. Where is the Statue of Liberty?
In the New York Harbor.
Good. Question 17. What is one reason colonists came to America?
Freedom.
Yes. Question 18. When was the Constitution written?
1787.
Correct. Question 19. What do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance?
The United States.
Right. Question 20. What movement tried to end racial discrimination?
The Civil Rights Movement.
Yes. Question 21. Who is the Chief Justice of the United States now?
John Roberts.
Correct. Question 22. What did Susan B. Anthony do?
She fought for women's rights.
Yes. Question 23. What is one right only for U.S. citizens?
To vote in a federal election.
Correct. Question 24. What is the political party of the president now?
Republican.
Yes. Question 25. What ocean is on the west coast of the United States?
The Pacific Ocean.
Correct. Question 26. Name one right only for United States citizens.
To vote in a federal election.
Yes. Question 27. If the president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
The vice president.
Correct. Question 28. Name one state that borders Mexico.
California.
Good. Question 29. What are two rights in the Declaration of Independence?
Life and liberty.
Correct. Question 30. What is the capital of the United States?
Washington, D.C.
Yes. Question 31. What happened at the Constitutional Convention?
The Constitution was written.
Correct. Question 32. Why did the colonists fight the British?
Because of high taxes.
Yes. Question 33. What does the Constitution do?
It sets up the government.
Right. Question 34. What are the first three words of the Constitution?
We the people.
Yes. Question 35. What is one thing Benjamin Franklin is famous for?
He was a U.S. diplomat.
Correct. Excellent job, Mark. You've completed all 35 questions.
Thank you, Officer Ann.
You did very well. How did you feel about the difficulty of this section?
Well, some of the questions were a little tricky, like the ones about specific dates or who holds certain positions. For example, I wasn't sure about the exact date the Constitution was written, but I managed to recall it, and I also had to think for a moment about some of the more specific roles in the government, but overall, I felt okay.
That's understandable. The questions about specific dates, like when the Constitution was written or when the Declaration of Independence was adopted, can be a bit challenging. Some people get them mixed up or struggle to remember the exact years. It's all about familiarizing yourself with key facts.
Yes, I definitely had to think a bit more about those. The questions about branches of government and the roles of the President and Congress were easier because I've studied those a lot.
Yes, the structure of the U.S. government is something that people usually know well. but questions about specific people, like who's currently the Chief Justice or what the role of certain cabinet members is, can be more difficult, especially if you're not following the latest news.
That's true. The ones about current officials, like the president or the vice president, were easier for me, since I follow the news pretty closely. But some of the older history questions were a little more challenging.
I completely agree. The historical questions can be a bit more abstract if you're not actively studying that part of U.S. history, but overall, you handled them very well. With practice, these become much easier to answer.
Thanks. I feel like I need to review a few of the historical events and facts a bit more, but I'm confident I'll be ready.
That's the right attitude, and don't forget, you can always review the study materials they provide for the interview, as it'll help you become more familiar with everything. You did a great job today.
Thanks again, Officer Ann. I appreciate your feedback.
You're very welcome. Let's take a short break, and then we'll move on to part 2 of your interview.
N-400 Interview Practice Part 2 Yes, No Questions. Citizenship Test 2025.
All right, Mark, welcome back. Are you ready to continue with part 2 of your civics questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
Question 36. How long do we elect a president for?
4 years.
That's correct. A president serves a 4-year term. Question 37. Why do some states have more representatives than other states?
Because they have more people.
Exactly. States with larger populations get more representatives. Question 38. Who signs bills to become law?
The president.
Yes, the president signs bills into law after they're passed by Congress. Question 39. Name the U.S. war between the North and the South.
The Civil War.
Correct. The Civil War was fought between the North and the South. Question 40. Name one U.S. territory.
Puerto Rico.
That's right. Puerto Rico is one of several U.S. territories. Question 41. How old must citizens be to vote for president?
18 and older.
Yes, citizens must be at least 18 to vote in federal elections. Question 42. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1900s.
World War II.
That's correct. World War II was a major conflict during the 20th century. Question 43. What did the Emancipation Proclamation do?
It freed the slaves.
Yes, it declared the freedom of slaves in the Confederate States. Question 44. What is one responsibility that is only for United States citizens?
To vote in a federal election.
That's right. Voting in federal elections is a unique right and responsibility of citizens. Question 45. What ocean is on the east coast of the United States?
The Atlantic Ocean.
Correct. The Atlantic borders the eastern coast of the U.S. Question 46. What is the supreme law of the land?
The Constitution.
Absolutely. The Constitution is the highest legal authority in the United States. Question 47. Who was president during the Great Depression and World War II?
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
That's right. FDR led the country through both those difficult times. Question 48. What is one responsibility that is only for U.S. citizens?
To vote in a federal election.
Yes, and that responsibility is also a privilege of citizenship. Question 49. What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment?
Speech.
That's correct. Freedom of speech is one of our core constitutional rights. Question 50. Who is the father of our country?
George Washington.
That's right. He's often called the father of our country for his leadership in the founding of the United States. Question 51. What are the two major political parties in the United States?
Democratic and Republican.
Exactly. Those are the two main political parties. Question 52. Name one of the two longest rivers in the United States.
The Mississippi River.
That's correct. The Mississippi is one of the longest rivers. Question 53. How long do we elect a U.S. representative for?
2 years.
Yes, members of the House of Representatives serve 2-year terms. Question 54. What major event happened on September 11, 2001 in the United States?
Terrorists attacked the United States.
That's right. 9/11 was a significant terrorist attack on American soil. Question 55. Before he was president, Eisenhower was a general. What war was he in?
World War II.
Correct. Eisenhower was a leading general during that war. Question 56. What is the highest court in the United States?
The Supreme Court.
Yes, the Supreme Court is the highest legal authority in the country. Question 57. How old must citizens be to vote for president?
18 and older.
That's right. Age 18 is the minimum voting age for presidential elections. Question 58. Name your U.S. representative.
This answer depends on your district.
Okay, that depends on where you live, and it's important to know your representative. Question 59. Who makes federal laws?
Congress.
Yes, Congress creates and passes federal laws. Question 60. Why does the flag have 13 stripes?
Because there were 13 original colonies.
Exactly. The stripes represent the founding colonies. Question 61. Name one state that borders Canada.
New York.
That's correct. New York shares a border with Canada. Question 62. When was the Declaration of Independence adopted?
July 4th, 1776.
That's right. The Declaration was adopted on Independence Day, 1776. Question 63. How many voting members are in the House of Representatives?
435.
Correct. There are 435 representatives. Question 64. What is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen?
To be loyal to the United States.
Yes, loyalty to the country is part of the naturalization oath. Question 65. How many amendments does the Constitution have?
27.
That's right. 27 amendments have been added since the Constitution was written. Question 66. What did the Declaration of Independence do?
It announced our independence from Great Britain.
Exactly. It declared that the colonies were no longer under British rule. Question 67. In what month do we vote for president?
November.
Yes, federal elections are held in November. Question 68. What are two rights of everyone living in the United States?
Freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
That's absolutely right. Those are fundamental rights for all residents. Question 69. How long do we elect a U.S. Senator for?
6 years.
Correct. Senators are elected to 6-year terms. Question 70. Name one problem that led to the Civil War.
Slavery.
Yes, slavery was a central cause of the Civil War. Great job, Mark. That brings us to the end of Part 2. You've now completed 70 questions.
Thank you, Officer Ann. That round felt more detailed somehow.
You're right. This section touches on more complex topics like war, history, political systems, and constitutional rights. It's a broader mix.
Definitely. Some questions, like who signs bills or how many members are in the House, were pretty straightforward. But others, like the ones on the Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation, or the amendments, required a little more thought.
And that's perfectly normal. Some of these concepts are tied to major historical events or legal changes, so they're naturally more complex, but you've done very well navigating them.
I appreciate that. I think I'll go back and review the constitutional rights and responsibilities more deeply. Those seem to come up a lot, and they're important.
That's a smart plan. The test isn't just about remembering facts. It's about understanding the values and principles behind them. You're on the right track.
Thanks. I feel like this section helped me better understand the bigger picture of being a U.S. citizen.
I'm really glad to hear that. Now let's take a short break. After that, we'll move on to part 3, the final 30 questions from 71 to 100. Are you ready to finish strong?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
N-400 Interview Practice Part 3 Final Questions plus Real Interview Tips.
Welcome back, Mark. You've done really well so far. Are you ready for the final stretch, the last 30 civics questions?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's finish this.
That's the spirit. Let's continue. Question 71. What are 2 ways that Americans can participate in their democracy?
They can vote, or they can run for office.
That's absolutely right. Those are 2 great ways for citizens to get involved. Question 72. What is freedom of religion?
You can practice any religion or not practice a religion.
Correct. Freedom of religion means you have the right to choose your beliefs. Question 73. If both the president and vice president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
The Speaker of the House.
Yes, the speaker is next in line after the vice president. Question 74. When do we celebrate Independence Day?
July 4th.
That's right. July 4th marks the country's Declaration of Independence. Question 75. What do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance?
The United States.
Exactly. We pledge allegiance to the country and its flag. Question 76. What is the name of the Speaker of the House of Representatives now?
Mike Johnson.
That's correct. Mike Johnson is the current Speaker. Question 77. What is an amendment?
A change to the Constitution.
Yes, amendments allow the Constitution to be updated or clarified over time. Question 78. Who was the first president?
George Washington.
Correct. He was the first to hold the office of President of the United States. Question 79. What is the capital of your state?
This answer depends on your state.
All right. That's something every applicant should know for their own state. Question 80. Who did the United States fight in World War II?
Japan, Italy, and Germany.
That's right. Those were the 3 major Axis powers. You're doing great, Mark. Only 20 questions left.
Thanks, Officer Ann. I'm staying focused.
Question 81. What is the branch or part of the government?
The President.
Actually, the president is a person. We're looking for a branch. For example, executive branch is the correct answer. Just be careful with that kind of wording. Question 82. Who is in charge of the executive branch?
The President.
That's correct. The president leads the executive branch. Question 83. What group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves?
Africans.
Yes, that's historically accurate. Africans were forcibly brought to America as slaves. Question 84. Name one American Indian tribe in the United States.
Crow.
That's one of the tribes. Very good. Question 85. What do we call the first 10 amendments to the Constitution?
The Bill of Rights.
That's right. The Bill of Rights protects key freedoms for individuals. Question 86. What territory did the United States buy from France in 1803?
Louisiana.
Correct. The Louisiana Purchase was a major land acquisition. Question 87. Name 3 of the 13 original states.
New York, New Jersey, and New Hampshire.
Yes, those are 3 of the original colonies that became states. Question 88. When must all men register for the Selective Service?
At age 18.
That's right. It's a legal requirement for men at that age. Question 89. What is the supreme law of the land?
The Constitution.
Correct. All other laws are based on the U.S. Constitution. Question 90. Who is the Commander-in-Chief of the military?
The President.
Yes, the President has that role under the Constitution. Almost there, Mark. Just 10 more to go.
Let's finish strong.
Question 91. What is the name of the Vice President of the United States now?
J.D. Vance.
That's correct. J.D. Vance is currently serving as the Vice President. Question 92. What does the President's Cabinet do?
Advises the President.
Yes, that's their main role. They're key advisors on different areas of government. Question 93. Who does a U.S. Senator represent?
All people of the state.
Correct. Senators represent everyone in their state, not just a district. Question 94. What did Martin Luther King Jr. do?
He fought for civil rights.
Absolutely. He was a leader in the fight for equality and justice. Question 95. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1800s.
The Civil War.
That's one of them. Good answer. Question 96. Who was president during World War I?
Woodrow Wilson.
Correct. Wilson served during that time. Question 97. What is one power of the federal government?
To print money.
Yes, printing money is a federal power. Question 98. Who is one of your state's U.S. senators?
This answer depends on your state.
That's fine. Make sure to know who represents your state in the Senate. Question 99. What was the main concern of the United States during the Cold War?
Communism.
Correct. Preventing the spread of communism was a top concern during the Cold War. Question 100. Why does the flag have 50 stars?
Because there are 50 states.
Exactly, 1 star for each state. And that's it, Mark. You've just answered all 100 civics questions. Congratulations!
Thank you so much. That felt like a marathon, but I'm glad I made it through.
You should be proud of yourself. You've shown a solid understanding of U.S. history, government, and civic values. How did you feel about the overall difficulty of the questions?
Honestly, it was a mix. Some were easier because I've seen them in the study guide, like the flag, voting age, or who signs bills. But others, especially the historical ones, and the government structure, really made me think.
That's a fair assessment. Many people find the questions about wars, amendments, or roles in government a bit more challenging. They go beyond memorization. They test your understanding of how the country works.
Exactly. I think what helped me most was studying the context behind the answers, not just memorizing. Like really understanding what the Constitution does or what freedom of religion means.
That's the ideal approach. These questions aren't just for the interview. They're a foundation for informed citizenship. And I can see that you've put in the work.
Thank you, Officer Ann. I really appreciate your clear explanations along the way. That helped me stay focused and calm.
I'm glad to hear that. You've done a fantastic job, and you're one step closer to becoming a U.S. citizen. Let's take a short break, and then we'll move on to the next portion of the interview. Sound good?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's finish this journey strong.